My goal with you guys today is to just solidify where we are, having completed the first conditional statements example. Now that we've completed that first conditional statements example, I want to solidify where we're going to go forward for you guys for the next couple classes, being work classes. And if you were to scroll ahead on our class completion plan, you notice that we're right on schedule. So Wednesday, Thursday was making sure that we were all at the same place. And today's goal was to complete the first example. So in a way, we're a little ahead of our schedule. And next week, our goal was, if we look at just this block of time here, Monday to Friday of next week, most of the week we'll be working essentially work periods on problems 1 and 2. I don't know if we'll take all 3 of those days. We might only take 2 of them and then maybe get a little bit ahead of schedule again and start looking at part 2 of this unit. But you really didn't have to worry too much about handing stuff in this week. I knew a lot of you would have sort of technical issues and just sort of getting all set up at home and stuff like that. And so that was good that all we had was that example that really wasn't for marks. And you can go in and find that example on my website. But now, between now and the end of next week, you want to get yourself in a place where you can actually do work and eventually hand it in. So that's kind of the goals for next week. And then that will lead into more work periods the week after that, before we kind of wrap up this unit and hopefully be back for class on Monday, May the 31st. So we are on schedule. Everything's going okay and pretty well. And in addition to what I've put here for what we're going to do today, I've actually even linked the things right here. So you don't have to necessarily go to the assessments page. I've actually linked problem 1 and problem 2 right onto the description here. So I'm trying to reduce how much clicking and scrolling you guys have to do. Maybe I'm overkilling it, I don't know, but I wanted to try and give that for you guys so you had those resources available. Okay, so all I wanted to just quickly do, and again, I was trying to keep this within about 10 minutes, is we finished this unit on if statements, and this is in the notes if you need to go back and review it, that we did a combination of an if statement along with an else statement to grasp the concept of the conditional statement. One of the last if statements we did in yesterday's example was the checkbox code. Just check and make the label visible or make it not visible. And so that is right here in the example and how it explains it. And, you know, just to again sort of look at it with an if statement, if that test is true, it runs the line of code inside of there. If that line of code is false, then it drops down to the else code and it runs the else code. So it runs either the code in if or the code in else. So it runs the block of code is what I'm saying. And we already defined some of those terms a little bit yesterday. So that was what that was, right? In the notes as well, it shows how to complete the example, which we already did yesterday, but you can see the code in the notes as well, minus the comments. So if you were distracted a little bit by the comments, you can see right in the notes the same code minus the comments, okay? This was our checklist for conditional statements. And as of yesterday, everything was checked off. How decisions affect programming, what relational operators are, those are those greater than, less than. There was a few quirky ones in there. What an if statement was, what a block of code was, what an else statement was, and how it all comes together. If this is still very, very much still confusing, and it could be, this is a tough conceptual one to look at. What I might suggest you do is go into the content of our Computer Science 20S course, specifically the conditional statements content. Now you don't have to look at all of it. So what I would just look at with the content of, oops. It's hard to sometimes do these little flyout menus. So I'm just going to do it this way. From here, I'm going to scroll down to content. And from content, I'm going to scroll down to conditional statements part 1. That way I can focus just on the first part. And here you can read about those things, right? You can just scroll down the page and read about them here. If you're still kind of confused by it, maybe you want to slow down. If you don't want to read it off my website, you can also read it off the PowerPoint slides, like the ones I was just showing, or you can rewatch a video of me teaching that lesson in the past. The point is you're ready to engage in that conditional statements content so that you're ready to start the assignments. So from the assignments page that you're now used to, you're now ready to approach conditional statements. So a couple things I want to do to help you along this, and we're going to be working on this next week as well, obviously. You'll be working on problems 1 and 2. So a couple things you should try. Try them first as demonstrations so you can see what the programs feel like, okay? Take a look at this presentation, which has hints in it based on the example we did. And probably most importantly, if you're really lost, is to watch this video where I do go over all of those things and give even more guidance on these assignments. The assignments are now more interesting in this unit, but they're definitely harder as well. They take a little more problem solving to figure out, okay? My goal is I'm going to be available on Teams for the rest of the period today on into the next week to help people with those types of problems. And if I'm helping one person over Teams, I might be helping multiple people over Teams. So open those assignments, and again, you can do this now right from our main page, right from this little journal entry from today. If you click on problem 1 or problem 2 or the first example or the guidance video, they're all right here so that you can get started on that work. All right. With 1 minute over the timeline here, that's about all I have to say. I'm going to do one more check for attendance just to see if the couple students I marked absent, and one was Brennan, who did not show, and the other was Felix, who again, I still not seeing. So I will keep looking for that over the period, but right now I have those students marked as absent. So guys, I'm going to leave you now. You're welcome to stay on Teams for the remainder of the period until 2:50, or I'm okay with you guys logging off in a moment, and I will see you again on Monday over Teams. However, before you log off, it is Friday, so I'm going to mention that it could be time for the bad joke of the week, which by definition is bad, not good, not repeated, not explained. So if you don't like it, get it, or hear it, it's not my fault. And normally I ask a class if they want to accept or reject the bad joke of the week. However, I'm not going to do that because I've already said what needs to be said. So if you want to reject the bad joke of the week, now would be your opportunity to mute your speaker or log off Teams and say goodbye for the weekend. But if you do stay, I'll ask you the question, which is, why did the ant fall off the toilet seat? Because he was pissed off. All right, everybody, for those who are logging off now, have a great weekend. And for those who have or need some advice or some help or have some questions, feel free to stay on Teams and feel free to log out and log back in anytime between now and 2:50 or between 3 and 3:30 for the extra help time. And if you're not needing that, I will see you on Teams on Monday, everybody.
Have a good one. See you next week.
See you next week.
Have a great weekend.